Greetings everyone, welcome to RPGenesis. Grab yourself a drink and let's talk about some home ruling, shall we? So for those of you who don't know, home ruling is where a group of players or maybe an individual might change, add or even remove a rule from a game altogether. This could be because they don't like how a certain ruling works, or maybe because one just could be improved in this manner, or at least they feel like it could be improved in such a manner. One example of this is the ever famous natural 20 rule, where natural 20s in D&D are only ever meant to count in combat, but people use them outside of combat because it adds for more opportunity and fun factors. And I for one am in favour of breaking this rule because it does add a lot more excitement and entertainment to the game itself. It could also be that a particular group of players may have played the same RPG for a while and maybe want to just freshen it up a bit with some rules to make it tougher or harder or even more silly. I personally am a DM and have been a player who's been in games where house rules have been a thing, and while some of them have been terrible and some were just inconsequential, some of them have inspired me to make my own, as well as me stealing some for future use. So today I'm going to share 3 of those ideas with you, and I'd like to know that if you've tried something similar, or if you want to try these yourself, how they went in your game. For the most part, I've used these on D&D, but with a little bit of tweaking, you could fit them into another RPG of your choice. Mutant Year Zero, Cult, Pathfinder, whatever you feel. But I am going to be talking about these today in D&D terms, because that's where I use them the most, and that's the RPG I play the most with players. But on a slightly controversial topic, we're going to be starting with 2 that feature gambling. Specifically for betting on an event that the players are watching rather than taking part in. The example I'm going to be using is what my players recently have just done and been betting on horse races. So the first thing I did was make a list of races and gave them a multiplication. This would be the amount of money that the player who bet on them would get back if that particular racer won. So if I bet 50 gold on a horse that had a multiplier of 2, I would get 100 gold back. However, like real gambling, chance has to be involved in some way. What's the fun in gambling if there are no risks of losing? And it's true, you could just roll a few dice behind the screen, but I would find that pretty boring because I'm the kind of DM that likes to get the players involved as much as they can. So what I did was get each of the players to take on the role of a racer. And the way this would work is that the higher the multiplier for the racer, the smaller dice that they would have to roll. The players would then all roll their dice in a round, and whoever gets the lowest is out. And even on a tie, those 2 racers are out. The remaining players roll again, and this continues until we get a winner. The first time we did this, someone bet on the ×5 racer and won big. If you do think that this is a little too quick and you want to draw out the tension and suspense a little bit longer, you could have it so that every time they roll a D100, they add it up to a total that they need to reach in order to cross the finish line. And the first one to cross the finish line is the person who hits this target number first, and then whoever does it second crosses second and third and all the way down to last place. This would also work for the DM as well, because then they can describe the race as how 2 racers that were neck and neck and suddenly one of them boots the other one and pulls ahead, but just as quickly as they were hit they even quicker recover and take the lead again as more dice are rolled, but then someone at the back just shoots right between them and takes first place at the last second. This other gambling mechanic is a stolen idea that I had from one of my players, and it's a game called Gladiators, where players take 5d6 and every round one player chooses a number between 1 and 6. Everyone rolls their dice, and if that number matches any of the dice, those dice are eliminated and the game continues until one player remains standing. Now maybe you could use this one to determine if the players are watching like a huge gladiator fight and these are the different teams competing for victory, but it could also be used during downtime and roleplay opportunities where the players are bored and they're just waiting for the king to finish a meeting, or it's just a dark quiet night at the camp and the players just want something to do. They can just gamble some money with each other. The drawback with this game is that as the dice get fewer and fewer, there's less opportunities for the magic number to be rolled, and it can drag out a bit, which is why I added some rules to the game, where if the game is dragging out too long and say after 5 rounds the game is still going, you then make it sudden death, where only the dice that's showing the lowest numbers are eliminated. This speeds up the game, but it makes it even more intense as the game just got that little bit harder. Now these mechanics, when I implemented them in their first sessions that I tried them out, went down really well, and in fact one of them, which was the Gladiators mechanic, ended up being a 2-hour gambling fest between the players because they were having that much fun. Now this final one I came up with myself, and it happened purely by chance, and this is what I call the golden inspiration. While I was at a game shop that I played D&D at, I on a whim bought this random pack of dice from, it was Wizard of the Coast dice, and I can't remember the name of them exactly, but you'll see it on screen now. But in it you get a full set of dice and a coin. In the very first one I bought, I got a gold coin, and here's the coin in question. As you can see, it's just a small coin of fake gold that says inspiration on it with a D20. Now when I first got this, I thought it was pretty cool, and it is kind of cool. Just a nice little token to hand out to a player when they've received inspiration of some kind. But then I looked at it a little closer, and thought about the D20 on it and went, what if this wasn't just any regular inspiration? Which is when I came up with the golden inspiration rule. Which simply states that if a player has the golden inspiration, they can cash it in at any time during the session so that they can get an additional D20 to add onto any roll, be it an attack roll, a damage roll, a saving throw, whatever roll they want to make, they can add a D20 on top of it after all the modifiers have been applied. With the fact it's golden, it can also mean that it can be cashed in after an attack or whatever has been declared a fail. As powerful an asset as it could be, the players do have to earn it, and if they have it at the end of the session, it's lost. So once they have it, they better use it before they lose it. But how does one earn such a powerful asset? I was a bit stumped at first trying to figure out how to make this happen. Golden Inspiration is awarded out to anyone who does any good roleplay, clever thinking, or just makes the table laugh. Now, with this in their back pocket, when a player does earn it, it gives them a sense of pride for being able to earn it. So when a player does earn this, it can be quite nice for them to know that they're actually getting that involved in the game and they actually did something quite entertaining to earn such an honour. However, in terms of game mechanics, this can be good for everybody, because it can be a life-saving moment for another player, or for the player themselves, but for the DM it also offers up more opportunities for the storytelling to make the theatre of the mind that even more spectacular. Like for example, maybe one of your players is one-on-one with the big bad and they manage to score a critical hit, but to just make that hit count even a little bit more, they spend the inspiration and deal even more damage than expected. But in terms of narrative, you could also say something like the barbarian character is going towards the big bad and thinking about all of his allies and everyone he has to protect. The player spends the golden inspiration to add more dice, and as the barbarian swings his mighty axe, the thoughts of his friends, his family and all of his loved ones give him a will and strength that he's never fought before, cleaving the bad guy in two, ending the fight and saving the world. And with regular inspirations, you can also hand this one out. So maybe a player is running away from a boulder trap and they can feel themselves getting tired and they make the roll and it's way too low for them to get away. But then the inspiration is handed out, and then narratively it can be, you think of your dear friend's words of encouragement that they gave you to always remember in your darkest hours, and with that you are able to push through your exhaustion to escape the tunnel and the trap unharmed. It may seem like a simple and possibly overpowered mechanic, but it's up to the DM when it's handed out and who gets it. So it's up to you when you want to relinquish this power. My players have loved it because it gets them a lot more involved and active in the role-playing, but also they actually get together now instead of just running in like murder hobos for some groups. They actually get together, form a plan, look at the information they've got, and actively want to work together to get this prize that will benefit not just one, but the entire group, including the DM. And it seems my drink has run out, so I think that's all the ideas I've got for this video. If you've got any you'd like to share, make them known down below in the comments, because creativity and inspiration are two major driving forces in RPGs, and the more we can get, the better we can make our games. Now, I'll see you in the next video with more ideas. I'm gonna go get another drink.
That was decent.